Hey, what's up guys, MugenLord here, and today we'll be talking about Square Enix once again. Yes, I know you guys are probably tired of me talking about Square Enix, but these guys has been getting hit with bad news after bad news after bad news, and this time around, this has everybody talking because apparently that Square Enix had finally got their noggin together as far as their business decision is concerned with their upcoming new business strategy for the company. And to us, it's not new at all. It's something that we've been talking about here on this channel that they should have done a long time ago. And what is that? Well, apparently it looks like Square Enix will start focusing on multi-platform, and especially when it comes to their AAA titles, because you know Square Enix have this exclusivity thing that, in my personal opinion, has been hurting them for a very long time. And not only that, I also want to discuss with you that Square Enix has also revealed that Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth did not meet sales expectations. So before we even dive into this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button and notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. Now, I have to tell you guys, man, when it comes to Square Enix, man, like I said, I've grown up with this company. I've always enjoyed them. I think they were at their peak when they were Squaresoft before they did the merger with Square Enix. But moving forward into this generation, man, they've just been making bad decision on top of bad decisions, and it's been hurting them financially. And as much as I love Square Enix, man, I've always still have hope for them that they'll just change and just get their shit together, because they have potential and they're sitting on IPs that's been locked in their library for a very long time that they can definitely capitalize on in today's gaming space. So we're going to go into this article because it's from Game Informer, and Game Informer talks about their strategy when it comes to them pursuing multi-platform. So the thing is, in a sense, what we're about to see in this title, it says Square Enix will aggressively pursue multi-platform strategy and company reboot. So what it apparently looks like here is that they're trying to reboot the company, rethink their strategy and their approaches moving forward, and going multi-platform and actually being aggressive towards it. I think it's a good idea. And there's some other things I want to talk about as far as their decisions when it comes to how they release their games and how messed up their strategy is, because them going multi-platform is a good thing, but they can still fuck it up if they don't strategize correctly. So let's dive into this article. Square Enix is rebooting itself aggressively, pursuing a multi-platform strategy that includes PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, and PC in the process. This comes from the company's latest financial earnings report, which details the Square Enix 3-year reboot plan for long-term growth. Within that reboot plan, Square Enix lists 4 pillars: enhance productivity by optimizing the development footprint in the digital entertainment (DE) segment, and diversify earnings opportunities by strengthening customer contact points, roll out initiatives to create additional foundational stability, strike a balance between shareholder return and growth investments when allocating capital. And then you see right here that their company structure, their philosophy, their definitions. And right here, as you see all these different franchises and intellectual properties. You have from Final Fantasy to the Mana series, Nair, and also you have some of their obscure titles like Octopath Traveler, and then you have the romance saga there. And there's more IPs that they have, especially especially if we can look at Xenogears, if you know we want to go that deep in Threads of Fate and everything. But we're going to move on. So as part of the plan, Square Enix will aggressively pursue a multi-platform strategy that includes Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, according to the financial report, especially in regards to major franchise and AAA titles, including titles. It will build an environment where more customers can enjoy the title and continue possibly alluding to multi-platform releases for future Final Fantasy games and more. Yes, Final Fantasy is their bread and butter. That's the thing that they rely on. And the thing is, I guarantee you that if Final Fantasy 16 was day and date for the PC, and trust me, if it came out on Xbox Series X or whatever like that, it definitely would have sold even better. Trust me, it sold good numbers just with the PS5 alone, but they would have put it on the Xbox because people were anticipating it. There's Xbox fans that really wanted to get their hands on 16 and wanted to play it, and I guarantee that would have helped in some way. And you know the PC gamers, they were lining up and they still waiting for the PC release for Final Fantasy 16. So that definitely would have helped their sales, opposed to just releasing it just on the PS5. And then look at Final Fantasy 7 Remake Trilogy. it's crazy how they release Final Fantasy Crisis Core Reunion on the Xbox, but then, you know, the players and the gamers don't get a portion or get a part of the trilogy at all. And then you have a lot of PlayStation gamers that will point out, you guys don't support Final Fantasy, or you guys don't go out and buy it. Look at Crisis Core on the Xbox Series X. Like, why would anybody pay any play or pay any money for Crisis Core Reunion when they're not going to get fucking the Final Fantasy 7 Remake trilogy at all? Especially when you have Nomura and many of the developers saying that, you know, to get an understanding or to see some connection with the trilogy, you know, you might want to look into Crisis Core Reunion. But you have the Xbox community over here that only got the Reunion but don't have Final Fantasy 7 Remake trilogy. That doesn't make sense. So who want to invest in the Reunion when you can't even play the Remake? Make that make sense. But we're going to continue. So it said this strategy follows up reports that Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, a PlayStation exclusive RPG that launched in February, underperformed. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth followed in its footsteps of its predecessors, Final Fantasy VII Remake, which launched exclusively on the PS4 in 2020, and Final Fantasy 16, which hit PS5 last year, although it's set to release on PC sometime in the future. Square Enix also says it will devise a strategy for smart devices PC browser portfolio that includes not only iOS and Android, but also the possibility of PC launches. It continues. Furthermore, the group will strive to maximize the acquisition of new users when launching a title, and that of recurring users after starting management of game operations. Throughout the financial report, Square Enix uses the word fun as a focal point for the future development of its games. It says it wants to focus on development of titles delivering fun that only Square Enix can create and build. And that's the thing about Square Enix. That's what set Square Enix or Squaresoft apart, is because when you seen that Square, when you see the Square logo at the bottom right here, you knew you was in for a treat. You knew you was in for a quality product, great gaming experience, and a fun experience. And they really need to go back to that. So it sounds like they're truly trying to reboot their company to try to get things on back to speed or whatever like that. And I would love to see how that would go. So it says in terms of numbers, the Square Enix net sales are up 3.8% year over year at 2.28 billion this year, with digital entertainment sales up by 2.5% at 1.5 billion. However, its operating income is negative 209 million, is down nearly 27%. These numbers are and subsequent strategy shift aren't surprising, considering at the end of April, Square Enix canceled some of in development games to be more selective and focused, which lines up with its new philosophy. This likely means we'll be seeing more titles like Dragon Age, Final Fantasy 16, and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth on various platforms, and less games like Foam Stars and Diofield Chronicles, which is sad because the best part of Square are those AA titles. Only time will tell though, and Square Enix thinks it will take 3 years for its company to reboot. So next, we can go over to the article of Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, and also why it didn't meet expectations with Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Final Fantasy 16, and also Foam Stars all failed to meet Square Enix expectations. Dragon Quest 12 is still alive. So this is from, of course, IGN. So it says Square Enix had admitted that Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Final Fantasy 16, and Foam Stars failed to meet expectations in a financial call reported by Bloomberg. Square Enix president Takashi Kiryu told analysts that sales for all three games failed to hit expected revenue and profit, resulting in an overall hit to operating income for the business. Square Enix announced that launch sales of 3 million for Final Fantasy 16 after it went on sale in June 2023. Yeah, damn, that's it. But it has announced a follow-up figure since, according to Bloomberg, while this initial momentum was in line with expectations, sales have slowed. And that's the problem what's going on with Final Fantasy, especially when it comes to Final Fantasy 7 Remake Trilogy. The fact is, it gets this crazy up spike when the game first launched, and then it just downtrend after that. It just drops off. It just falls off a cliff, and it doesn't have legs. It doesn't tracks. Similar to, it's like with Nintendo games. Most Nintendo games have legs. You know, some of them even start off slow, but then over time it just increases or whatever. But when it comes to these Final Fantasies, and more specifically the trilogy and the newer Final Fantasy games, it gets this uprise and then bam, it falls off. So it's worse story for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Initial momentum failed to reach Square Enix target, telling Square Enix has yet to announce a sales figure for the game, the second in the company planned trilogy of Final Fantasy VII Remake. And that's the thing. When Square is confident about something, they put those numbers out there. And it took Final Fantasy VII Rebirth longer to get to where Final Fantasy VII Remake was at when it first launched. Now, many people can say that, hey, no, because they have the PS4, you know, install base as well. But no, even with that big install base of PS4 or whatever like that, Final Fantasy VII Remake is still only sold a certain amount, and then it fell off a cliff. It didn't continue. It didn't grow legs. And then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes in, and it took a long time to reach what Final Fantasy VII Remake had made at the time window that it released. So there's definitely a problem here. And I suspect that Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 is going to probably sell even lower than that. And we can expect Final Fantasy VII, from what they told us, that we can probably expect it around 2027 to 2028. My guy, like, dude, I'll be pretty much 40 years old sending my daughter to college by the time Part 3 come out. And not only that, by that time we'll probably be on PlayStation 6. So we went through 3 console generations to get the full game. That's ridiculous. But then, as for Foam Stars, Square Enix has yet to announce the sales numbers for this live service, Splatoon-like game. Bloomberg reported that Square Enix admitted it had fallen short of expectations. On the bright side, Square Enix is confident Final Fantasy XVI can achieve the goal over the original 18-month sales plan. And according to Bloomberg report, Takashi, Square Enix said sales of Rebirth and Foam Stars aren't necessarily bad. So yes, even though they fell short in line for failed expectation, but the games failed to reach FY goals as its momentum slowed. No updates for sales numbers has been announced at 3 million. So yes, these are high numbers, but as far as meeting expectations, as far as them putting the time, the resource, the marketing into it, it's not meeting what it's supposed to meet at all. And then if it's going to slow down of like that, you won't see any increase if it's going to constantly keep slowing down as time progresses. So it says this week Square Enix announced a significant company reboot, which we already talked about, and they're going to try to keep a lot of focus on trying to go multi-platform. So looking ahead, Dawn Trail, the expansion of MMO Final Fantasy XIV, launches in late June. Square Enix also has Kingdom Hearts 4, the third game in the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, Dragon Quest 12 in the works. So yes, man, there's a lot going on here when it comes to Square Enix, and they definitely got to get their shit together as a company. I think the big issue is, and it's sad to hear that they want to pretty much stop and do away or to slow down with the AA titles, but I think that's the best part of Square, when they have those AA titles as you wait for those AAA titles. It's not the AA titles itself, it's how you go about them, your strategize. Even when it comes to this multi-platform approach, if you don't have a strategy, then it doesn't matter if you go multi-platform. You gotta remember, last year or maybe the year before that as well, man, Square Enix was dropping out games left and right. We had Octopath Travel 2. We also had Star Ocean: The Divine Force. We had Valkyrie. Was it Valkyrie Profile? Was it Elysium, or I think it was called, or something like that. We also had Alive remake. We had all of these different titles throughout the years that was coming out back to back, and then there was no breather. They was like coming out a month apart from each other, or they were released during bigger titles, which they end up drowning out, so they cannibalize each other. And then when they get low sales, say, oh, people must not want these AA titles. No, it's how they release them. So they have to come up with a better strategy moving forward if they wanted to actually do better. But that's pretty much essentially it for everything as far as Square Enix is concerned. And it's good to hear the word reboot, that they're trying to reboot the company. Let's just hopefully see if they have like a sound strategy, that they're going to stick to their guns. And the thing is, like I said, just create good games and just get rid of the DIE, the ethics department, and just give us what we want. Great games, great characters, and just do away with the agenda pushing, or you trying to make these diversity quotes and just to just stuff in the game, just to stuff it in there, and it just overshadows what the game that you're actually, what your vision actually is, you know? So that wraps up the video. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe button for more gaming content here on this channel. This is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you game fiends later. Peace out.